Hello, everyone. I've been busy this week, so I haven't had much time to pay attention to anything YouTube related. First with Labor Day, and then with a family outing I had yesterday, followed by doing work today to make up for taking the extra day off this week. But I assume you read the title of this video. Yep. For the first time since July 7th, I ate some vegetables. Well, technically, I guess I did eat some garlic for a bit after July 7th as well, but that was just garlic that I chopped up and put on my steak. Well, yesterday was different. As I mentioned just a sentence or two ago, I got together with my family and we did a little celebration. And as a result of that, we went to a Red Lobster. Incidentally, I can't eat seafood. Well, I mean, I can eat seafood, but then afterwards, I will be doing my best interpretive dance impression of Mount St. Helens, or possibly Krakatoa if it gets bad enough. Whatever. You don't want to be in the vicinity of that. That's all I'm saying, okay? But in addition to seafood, Red Lobster actually does have steak. So I went with that option, and it came with sides. So I chose broccoli and a house salad. And why, you might be wondering? Well, because the other options were mainly potato products like baked potatoes or house fries. And if there's one thing I know I can't eat aside from seafood, it's potatoes. Even bread does less to me than potatoes does, specifically as it relates to blood sugars and my carb addiction. That's right, I'm addicted to potatoes. If I eat fries or chips, then it's essentially like an alcoholic having just one shot of Everclear. Yeah, that's not going to be the end of the night, and you know it. Now, you might be thinking, hey, if you're a carnivore, then why did you eat broccoli or the salad anyway? And to that, I respond, because I'm not a self righteous vegan wishing to impose my rules upon everybody else and ruin all the fun. See, I'm not the center of the universe, although I definitely can see it. I mean, it's right over there. But really, it boils down to the fact that I only had 7 ounces of steak, and it was way too expensive to order two of them. Now, I could have abstained completely from food, which would have actually been easier than to start to eat something and then stop after just 7 ounces of steak. I mean, after all, once you eat, you should be eating the proper human food that you need until you're full. And if you're not going to be full, you're going to stay hungry. And actually, that's a point I'd like to make as a quick aside here. When it comes to carnivore, one of the key aspects that makes it easy is that you don't need to count calories. That's right, believe it or not, the human body has no clue what a calorie even is. I mean, for that matter, calories aren't even a thing in biology. It's actually taken straight out of physics, and a calorie is the amount of energy needed to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure that's 1 gram of water. That also assumes the water isn't frozen or boiling and turning into steam, since phase transitions, I remember, take a lot more calories to transition in between. But anyway, here's how the idea of calories is when it comes to biology. The calories you eat, well, they're not really a calorie. No, see, 1 food calorie is equivalent to 1,000 real calories. So the made up garbage baloney crap that dietitians invented to pretend that they know what they're talking about and pretend that it's scientific extends even to the point that they pretend 1,000 is the same thing as one. Huzzah! Well, anyway, back to the point. Your body doesn't know what a calorie is at all. It doesn't count them when you eat food. It doesn't even care about them. You know how I know that? Because you can literally eat a block of wood. It has calories in it. By definition, it has stored energy that could be released to raise the temperature of water by several degrees. But guess what happens if you eat a block of wood? Your body won't do jack with that. You'll just poop it out. If you're lucky, it'll only get pooped out with no damage to your intestines. But this alone, I think, would be sufficient proof that a calorie isn't just a calorie. It kind of depends on what you're eating, not just some arbitrary number that a food company pretends is the caloric value of your food. Anyway, as I was saying, you don't need to keep track of calories because your body will tell you when it has had enough calories. That is, if you're eating real, actual, proper human food. If you're eating the processed fake stuff, then that's not really food. It's more like a drug anyway. So, no, at that point, your body won't stop you from overeating there. But if you're eating real, actual food, the stuff that your body was designed to eat, then it's almost impossible to accidentally eat too much. And I say accidentally because you could force yourself to overeat. That's still a thing that you could do with just willpower. But, I look at it this way. Okay. When my blood sugar was raging out of control and I needed to drink a lot of fluid to get rid of the glucose that I had in my bloodstream by, peeing it out, using water to pee it out, I would drink upwards of 3 of these in a single day, 2-liter bottles, right? There is no way I could drink even one of these if it was just water. Why? Well, because your body knows when you drunk too much water. Your brain sends a signal and you stop drinking. Again, you can force yourself to drink more, like if you're in one of those stupid contests, like the Hold Your Wee for a Wee contest that was on the radio, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago. But if you're just sitting around not thinking about anything, you'll never overdrink water. I cannot drink this whole thing like in one sitting. It's just not going to happen. It's not possible to feel thirsty when your body doesn't need any water. Which, as I think about it, that's probably why everybody says you have to make sure you drink enough water every day and you're forcing yourself to drink your 8 glasses or whatever they say, whatever nonsense. It's precisely because your body will never send you a signal that you need to keep drinking water if you don't actually need it. And by the way, I would also say ignore the lies from people who claim that your body is too stupid to know that it needs water, so you have to drink more water even when you're not thirsty. Listen to your body and drink water when you're thirsty, and then stop when you're not. It's that simple. The same thing goes with food. See, I can rarely eat more than maybe a pound of ground beef, or a pound of steak. Roughly a pound of protein is about the max that I can do in a meal. Once I'm done with that, it'll be at least 4 hours minimum before I get hungry again. And if I stop being hungry even halfway through a pound of meat, I'll just stop eating at that point. Because when I'm eating meat, and especially when it's the high fat content meat, so not lean meat, my body will tell me when I'm done. It will send a signal and say, hey, I don't need any more sustenance, stop now. So I can't accidentally overeat because meat is real food. When I'm done with my real food, my brain says enough, and I can't accidentally eat too much. I'd have to force myself to. But carb-heavy food, especially if it has a lot of sugar or really simple carbs in it, I mean, it's not actually food. Your body craves that just like a junkie craves a fix. And there's no shut-off signal when you overeat carbohydrates, because as many calories of that garbage as you shovel down your throat, there's no point that you're getting actual real food. And so your brain never says, hey, you've had enough. I've had enough nourishment. No, it's just like, there's no more room in your stomach, but you can still force stuff down into your stomach. And so, I mean, that's the same thing that happens with this, really, because the artificial sweetener, it overrides the signal saying that I'm not thirsty anymore. And so I can just keep drinking at that point. So with carbs, I can eat way more than I could eat meat, just because the pleasure of the sugars and the carbs overrides the sensation of saying I've had enough to eat and need to stop. And so, yes, back to the point, I'm addicted to carbs, and especially potatoes. For reference, like I said, maybe if I force myself, I might be able to eat 2 to maybe 3 pounds of steak in one sitting. I could never eat 5 pounds, though. Like, just as an example, I couldn't eat 5 pounds of steak in a single day. That's like too much. But I could eat 5 pounds of potato chips just watching a couple episodes on Netflix, and I wouldn't even realize that I'd eaten, 5 pounds is like just 5 bags of potato chips. I know I've eaten at least 4 bags of potato chips before in a single day. Like, that's easy. So I could eat 5 pounds of potatoes. and never realized I'd done it. But okay, all of this does kind of sidetrack a bit from my original point, which is yesterday I ate vegetables. So now, part of the reason why I did that was because I also knew it was just a one-time event, right? As I mentioned, my family was getting together to celebrate. It was several birthdays that had happened, and the primary guest of honor chose Red Lobster as the place to celebrate. So I wasn't going to take a dump on their birthday by complaining that I couldn't eat as much meat as I wanted to eat, right? So with all of that, you might be wondering, just how it affected me. What happened after 2 complete months with no vegetables to eat a salad and a big serving of broccoli? And when I was doing it, I was certainly wondering how it would affect me. I was concerned, what would happen with my stomach and all of that. So I'll just say a couple of things. First, the fact that I've been on pretty much an elimination diet for so long now, I definitely could taste the difference, right? So the one thing I noticed, the salad that I got had onions in it. And normally I don't care much for the taste of onions at all. Because normally the onions that I got in the past were usually on like a hamburger from McDonald's or something, diced up stuff. Probably not even real onions as I'm thinking about it. But the onions in this salad actually tasted good. And I guess not having vegetables for such a long time, it's kind of like I was tasting an onion for the first time. So like literally tasting and experiencing the true depth of the flavor that onions provide. So either that experience was happening, or maybe Red Lobster just happened to have the perfect onion that was grown, and they just happened to use that one in the salad, and maybe it'll never be replicated. I don't know, but I can see myself adding back onions into my diet in the future, especially because I plan at some point to go back with some garlic if I need a kick in food, because I like the taste of garlic. I like that, and I like how onions tasted. And there's liver and onions is a common combo, so I might try that in the future. So that was the salad. The broccoli was actually pretty decent as well. I normally don't care much for broccoli either, but this was cooked broccoli. I was able to put butter on it and cheese, and the cooked factor probably was number one key on this one, because I can't stand raw broccoli. I would prefer, and it's basically the same thing, to just eat raw sawdust, since all raw broccoli does is it makes my mouth dry and it tastes horrible. As my dad said, raw broccoli just exists to hold the ranch dip that is what you actually want to eat in the first place, right? Well, in this case, again, it tasted good. I'm definitely not going to be adding it to my approved list of vegetables going forward, because it's not my favorite by any means, but it was decent, right? So that's how my taste was affected after 2 months of only eating meat. But what about everything else, like the important stuff, my gastrointestinal tract, right? Well, eating carnivore, you don't need to have very many bowel movements at all, right? That's one thing that pretty much everybody is going to talk about is you slow your frequency. Some people think you actually get constipated, but you don't, because you just don't need to evacuate so often. But even just having the one small salad and the relatively huge serving of broccoli was enough that by the time I got home, I needed to go evacuate. I'll just put it that way, right? And additionally, it did give me gas, which was kind of surprising that I hadn't really realized I hadn't had gas for a long time. But once I ate that, the gas is formed from bacteria in your gut in the first place, and they're eating the stuff that you're not going to eat and releasing methane. Now, especially stuff like fiber, which your body doesn't use fiber at all, right? It's for the bacteria in your body that you're carrying along with you. So anyway, like I said, I was gassy, although it wasn't too bad, since again, I didn't eat a ton of vegetables, and by this morning all of that had passed. Other than that, I'd say there's no real effect on me in general. I went back to just eating meat again today. Didn't notice anything different. Because it was one meal, it's not like I gained a bunch of weight or anything like that. And I think that part of it is it didn't have a huge effect because there wasn't a lot of carbs in the vegetables that I did eat. A lot of it was just empty fillers. I'm looking at you specifically, iceberg lettuce. But I did notice that I did have a slight temptation today to just buy some carb heavy food. But I was able to resist it because I just cooked up a steak and ate my steak instead. And I feel great now. And so, again, I'll continue on the carnivore for at least the next month and a half, because that's when I'll have my next doctor's checkup appointment there. And at that point, I can finally get my A1C measured, which I'm expecting to be, if not in a state of being healthy, I expect it to be pretty close to, and not being in the state of diabetes at all, since I don't have any other symptoms of diabetes now. So, and when I do my blood test myself, then they're usually around the 100 mark, and they only go up. I've had them up as high as 130 after exercise, but that's to be expected after you exercise. So, given that the 130 did exist, there's a chance that I'll still have an A1C a bit higher than I think it's 5.4% for the A1C. I don't know exactly what it is. I'd have to look that up again, but whatever the case, that's for a month and a half from now, and I'll see where I'm at. So I am also after tomorrow, because tomorrow is the last work day of the week, I will have some more time over the weekend to start looking at the different comments and responses to some of my previous videos. I'm assuming there are any. I'm assuming there are some comments that were added on there, and of course any responses to this video as well. And hopefully I'll be able to get right back into the swing of this YouTube thing. Didn't mean to rhyme thing and swing, but hey, I'm a poet, and it just happens. And that reminds me with the YouTube thing. I never say this, but hit the like button, or hit the dislike button if you didn't like it. I mean, just be honest. I don't want you to lie. And feel free to hit the subscribe button if you like to do pointless things that don't matter. I mean, it's like the line from Whose Line Is It Anyway? The points don't matter. YouTube notifications are exactly the same as the points on Whose Line Is It Anyway, because no matter what you say on there, YouTube is going to ignore what you say. But YouTubers are supposed to say click subscribe, click notifications, all that, just so that YouTube can ignore what you did and give you the same 18 videos that they want you to watch every time you refresh the notification page. And you'll just see the same stuff over and over and over, because nothing says... Oh, okay, I'm gonna just stop that there before Susan gets mad at me. So, anyway, do what you want. I'm not your mother. Click or don't click. Hit like, don't hit like. I don't care. Do whatever you want. And with that, I was going to say I hope you had a great day, but that could be putting too much pressure on you. I hope you have whatever kind of day you want to have. Just have one. Peace out.